Welcome back to the Real 411. I'm Dr. 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭 McGee, and wow, what a week. I know I say that a lot, but this time, airstrikes are lighting up Tehran, bunker buster threats are echoing from Washington, and we're staring down a war that hasn't even been declared, but it's already splitting the country in half. Here's the thing, the Make America Great Again media is suddenly calling for restraint. Yes, you heard that right. Others pushing for escalation, calling for the U.S. to go all in. And as always, the people caught in the crossfire, Iranian civilians, and honestly, American democracy. Because the story is never just a headline. Today, we're unpacking the split inside MAGA, the lives under siege in Tehran, and the digital resistance networks keeping hope alive. Let's get into it. Let's start in D.C., where the MAGA movement, usually a monolith, is now at war with itself over what to do about Israel's strikes on Iran. On one side, the isolationists, Tucker Carlson, J.D. Vance, Steve Bannon, they're saying, don't get dragged into another Middle East disaster. On the other, the hawks, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Lindsey Graham, they want this to be the moment to take out Iran's nuclear program, maybe even the regime itself. And President Trump, all over the map. First, he opposed Israel plans. Then, after some spirited briefings from Netanyahu and staff, he backed Israel attacks. He even cut his G7 trip short to return to Washington. He suggested Tehran should be evacuated. 10 million people, fueling rumors the U.S. was about to jump in. The White House denies it, says the military is still in a defensive posture. Some believe Trump's using threats as leverage to bring Iran back to negotiations. Others think he's ready to authorize those massive bunker buster bombs, the kind only the U.S. has, the kind that can reach Iran's underground nuclear sites. I've seen this logic before. Years ago, a city councilman told me we needed to show strength after a minor international incident. I said, you can't bomb your way to safety. He didn't listen. Now, here we are, and this divide isn't just on TV, it's on Capitol Hill. Some Republicans want Trump to help Israel finish the job. Others say that violates the America's First promise. Pollings show most Americans, even Trump voters, don't want another war. But the pressure, it's real. Even Trump clashed with his own intelligence chief over it.
Tonight, multiple U.S. Air Force B-2 bombers are headed across the Pacific amid rising tensions in the Middle East. And late this afternoon, President Trump returned to the White House from New Jersey. CBS's Natalie Brand is there. Natalie, what's the latest?
Good evening, Nancy. Tonight, CBS News has confirmed that B-2 bombers are on the move, as you mentioned, headed across the Pacific as the president meets with his national security team this evening. U.S. officials confirmed several Air Force B-2 bombers departed for the U.S. base in Guam as President Trump weighs joining Israel's actions to destroy Iran's nuclear sites. The bomber is the only in the U.S. arsenal capable of carrying the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs. President Trump says he's giving Iran a maximum of 2 weeks to see if diplomacy can prevail. But there's a rift over intelligence about Iran's nuclear capability. The president on Friday appearing at odds with his director of national intelligence.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. But when the intelligence community said that,
Your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
she's wrong.
In March, Gabbard testified to Congress that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, but added its enriched uranium stockpile is at its highest levels and unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons. On Friday, Gabbard claimed the media took her testimony from March out of context. On social media, she now says the U.S. has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months if they decide to finalize the assembly. Nancy?
Natalie Brand, thank you.
Zoom out. Israel's been hitting Iranian targets, over 20 in Tehran alone, including uranium enrichment sites, missile factories. The Israeli military says they have set Iran's nuclear program back. But Iran is hitting back. They've moved launchers from western Iran, firing long-range missiles from deeper within the country. Khamenei flat out rejected Trump's demand for unconditional surrender. He warned if the U.S. gets involved, there will be irreparable damage. And it's not empty talk. Hezbollah, Our Iraqi militias, they're already threatening to strike U.S. forces if we cross the line. Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz is at risk. 1/5 of the world's oil passes through there. Iranian oil exports nearly halted. Tehran rolling blackouts. Russia and China watching closely. Russia's offering to mediate, but we know they've got their own game. China's flexing in the Pacific, maybe hoping the U.S. gets stuck in the Middle East so they can push harder on Taiwan or the South China Sea. And listen, some think a surgical strike would be quick and clean. But as we've seen before, tariffs, sanctions, beautiful bills, there are always ripple effects. A strike could trigger a regional war, cyber attacks, a global recession, even a nuclear arms race. Former Defense Secretary Gates once said bombing Iran could make a nuclear-armed Iran inevitable. That's not just theory. That's the nightmare scenario. Now let's talk about the people living through this. In Tehran, civilians are fleeing. Highways are jammed. Those who can't leave hunkered in subway stations and basements. There's no shelter system, no evacuation plan. But in the chaos, there's connection. Gen Z Iranians are using Discord, WhatsApp, VPNs to find each other, to survive. One group started a prenatal yoga chat. Now it's a crisis support group. They share breathing exercises, emergency tips, just comfort when bombs are falling and the internet's blacked out. One woman is in Tehran, the other is in San Francisco. Still connected, still sharing hope. Some fall asleep on voice chat together because it's safer than being alone. Reminds me of Hurricane Harvey. My patients, scattered, scared, use group text and Facebook to find medicine, shelter, each other. Digital networks aren't just memes. They're lifelines. They're resistance. They're community. Even in the dark, people find each other. And that gives me hope. If you're tired of surface level takes, hit that subscribe button and join the Real 411 movement. Drop a comment. Are we repeating history or rewriting it? Share this with someone who needs to hear the full story, not just the sound bites. Want to support ad-free journalism that actually makes a difference? Find us on Substack. We'll be back soon because the story is never just a headline. Stay safe, stay curious, and keep asking what's really going on.